We'll go a little bit backwards here. We'll start with the Peach Bowl. This game's 6 p.m. on ESPN on Saturday, 12:31. Georgia, Ohio State. Georgia's 6.5 point favorites. And the last time we saw Ohio State play, they got emasculated. They got humiliated. They got run out of their own building by a team they said they were going to beat the last 365 days a year, 365 days since they got beat because it was a fluke. There's no way it would happen 2 years in a row. Everybody said it. I believe two guys on this podcast here said that was going to happen. But you know what? They snuck in. They got in. They are a very talented team. I'm not going to make any bones about it.
I'll
They
say
are
it.
talented.
I'll say it. They're soft.
That's what you finished my sentence for me, Ethan. They are they are soft. They are not tough. And this is a game I think if Ohio State wants to win, CJ Stroud, and we'll make a league reference here, is CJ Stroud has to go deep down inside of him and let his inner Brian out. He's got to find that dog in him. He's got to go and make plays. He's got to, if there's a chance for him to get a first down with his legs, he's got to do it. I think for Ohio State to have a shot, I think he's going to have to run for 50, 60 yards because he's proven he can run. He did it in the Northwestern game. He's had chances, but he just for some reason doesn't want to do it. He's going to have to because there's going to be a time where the receivers aren't going to be open, and he's going to have to go extend a play with his legs. He's got to go lower his shoulder, lower the boom on a guy, and go make a play, extend a drive, move the sticks, or jump into the end zone. And the other part of it is because Travion Henderson is done. He's not coming back. He's hurt for the year. Smith and Jigba's out. Mayan Williams, there was talk that he was healthy, but he barely played in the Michigan game. So I don't know the status of his health. And the running back after Mayan Williams, they don't really have a running back because they were digging deep in the Michigan game trying to find guys to run the ball. And then it got to a point where they just said, screw it, we're done. We're not going to run the ball anymore.
So I just saw the most ridiculous stat of all time. That just shows how dominant this Georgia team has been this year. In the 13 games they've played, they've outgained their opponents by 2,599 yards.
That seems good.
I don't know if Iowa has 2,600 yards of offense on the year.
It's also fair.
Well, but you know what? Let's you guys keep talking. I'll look this up.
To Ethan's point in Ohio State being soft, can this team grow a pair of testicles in 30 days?
No.
It's a serious question. Because let's go back to last year. Oregon goes into the shoe, boat races them. I mean, just throws them around like a rag doll. I mean, it was a knockout.
Michigan ×2.
Michigan last year bludgeoned them. Utah put up over 600 yards of offense, bludgeoned them. Jim Knowles comes in. Well, guess what? Their one loss this year, bludgeoned by a Michigan team. Can this team grow testicles and learn how to stop the run in 30 days? Because if they can't, Georgia is going to win this game by 17 points. How big and how physical that Georgia offensive line is, they are just going to mow over Ohio State.
Well, and like you said, I think at this point in the season, you are what you are.
You are who they are.
You are where you are. You just can't develop toughness in 30 days. That is a 24/7, 365 day, actually a 25/8, 366 day a year thing of developing toughness. That starts in the weight room. That starts in being disciplined in your studies, taking mental reps in practice, and just having the attitude of you aren't better than me, and I'm going to run through your face, and I'm not going to have this fake tough guy bullshit that this team has seemed to pick up since Ryan Day has taken over.
Well, and also, let's be honest, guys. When you look at this Ohio State teams for their quality of play over the last 4 years, this team has gotten worse every single season.
In spots that matter.
Well, and then just in general. Also, like when I look at that 2019 team, that team was dominant. That team could have won a national title. That was Urban Meyer's players. 2020, COVID year or not, whatever, they went and they played for a national championship. They weren't quite as good, still mostly Urban Meyer's players. Now we're getting into these years 3 and 4 with Ryan Day. These are his players. They're not as good of a team. And it's like you see on the internet and Brian Hartline and all these coaches that want to talk about where wide receiver zone 6. Look at all the 5-star wide receivers we have on our roster. Well, is that 5-star receiver going to be physical and knock someone's face in on Georgia's offensive line? No. What's that 5-star receiver going to do for you when Georgia is going 5, 7, 4, 5 yards right down your throat? You can't stop them. And it's happened in every big game you've played over the last 2 seasons. Those 5 games that matter at Ohio State, when you're giving up over 500 yards on your defense, that's unacceptable. So I guess I'm saying is Ryan Day needs to change his philosophy, and he needs to start to worry about the trenches. Because if he doesn't do that, what we saw in Columbus, 4 weeks ago, is going to happen in every big game Ohio State plays for the rest of his tenure. And even if he goes, 11-1 and 10-2 in those years, he's going to get canned.
Well, that exactly, because you can go 10-2, 11-1, but ask John Cooper. Guy won a lot of games at Ohio State. He didn't win the ones that mattered. Brady Hoke, nice guy, didn't win games that mattered. Well, by the end of his tenure, he didn't win any games, which is why he's not there. Same thing with Harbaugh until these last couple of years is, they've had plenty of 10-win seasons under him. I think they had 3 or 4, but could never beat Ohio State. And outside of 2 years, frankly, it wasn't close.
Well, and to Ethan's point, he called he called these players soft. That comes down to your head coach, where these players aren't buying into him. They're not buying into what Ryan Day is trying to preach and how they're trying to win at the line of scrimmage, and every day is a war. And when we play Michigan, we've had scars and we need to return this, yada, yada, yada. No, you're beating teams. You're beating the teams that you should beat because you have better players than them. But when you're playing people who are equal to what you are, you're getting your ass kicked. And it's just like in the NFL. Some of these teams this year who fired their coaches, all of a sudden they're winning games. It's because they finally have someone they can listen to and they have someone they believe.
Yeah. Well,
I don't. Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead, Ethan.
I don't think it's going to be as big of win for Georgia as it was like Oregon to begin the year in the same stadium. If I'm correct.
Yep, you are.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like, what was it, like a 30, 40-point win or something like
49-3.
Yeah, 46. Yeah, sure. But I don't think it'll be that bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 3-score game, like at the minimum. Like,
Guys,
I think what this game comes down to.
I think
go ahead.
Not like the Tennessee game, where Georgia dismantles them. They're dominating the line of scrimmage. Their defense is so fast sideline to side, and Ohio State doesn't know what's going on. But the final score is like 27. Was it 27-13?
Yep.
Like it was low key a 2-possession game, but you knew it was over.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be very similar to that.
Yeah,
Well,
and
like,
or go ahead, Ethan. I'll let you finish, and then I'll
think
go.
a perfect example of like how soft Ohio State is this year. Look at Northwestern game. That game was cold. It was rainy / snowy, just a mixed precipitation. They could barely move the ball. They didn't want to hit them. They didn't want to do anything. The only reason they won that game is because they just purely athleticism won them that game.
Yeah.
They don't have that advantage versus Georgia. They're softer. Georgia might even be more athletic, which is kind of hard to think of, but they probably are. It's not going to work. Like, they're going to get their ass kicked.
They're athletic. They're more physical, and the guys on Georgia,
They're better coached.
They're dogs, and their top guys are not afraid to get their hands dirty and do the dirty work. They're not afraid to throw a block if they have to. They aren't scared. And Grant, you brought up a good point too. Of this game kind of plays out like TC or the Tennessee when Georgia played Tennessee. I think it does too. I think Ohio State moves the ball a little bit better. I expect Ohio State to move the ball fairly well, but I think this game's going to come down to red zone And I don't know. I don't think Ohio State is good enough on the ground and in spots that matter that they're going to be able to get touchdowns because that's what you're going to need to beat Georgia. You're not going to win by settling for field goals. And I think this game comes down to I think Georgia gets touchdowns. I think Ohio State gets field goals, and that's going to be the difference.
I'm not even sure Ohio State's going to move the ball as well as you think because, one, like you already mentioned, their running game, we don't even know who they have healthy.
Yeah.
And
Do
if
they?
they can't run the ball, that front seven for Georgia is going to feast whenever Stroud goes back to pass. And it's not going to be pretty to watch.
And also with just how fast their back end is, their back seven, even if Ohio State, they try to do, the screen game, the short passing game as a running game, Georgia is so fast. There's going to be 5 or 6 red hats on that ball all the time. Ohio State's not going to know what hit them.
No.
Yeah. Well, look at like what Tennessee tried doing that. And that was where it was like, oh, those linebackers move like safeties.
Exactly.
And they're built like linebackers.
And they're faster, they're smarter, they're more physical. And you know what? Also, they're crazy. Like, just let's not forget the fact that these Georgia football players, they are crazy. Like most of these guys are not well in the head. And that's a scary thing. They are going to hurt you.
They legitimately want to take your fucking head off.
Exactly. Like these guys might be on some sort of psychotic break when they get on the football field.
Oh yeah. And
it's not they gave up 22 points against Missouri in October. It's not October. They're better than Missouri. Now it counts.
Georgia, when they've been called out and been
told
they've had to turn it on. They've turned it on.
They turned exactly.
Game. They drugged LSU's face on the fucking turf.
Yeah, it was like 49-10, and then they put the backups in, and they were kind of lollygagging around.
Still kicked their ass,
and they destroyed them.
Yep. And all those 3 tight ends that Georgia has, they can block too.
Oh my gosh,
they can bludgeon.
And then you got Washington, who's like 6'8" fucking thoroughbred. Clydesdale, just running out there, just destroying everything.
He's hurdling people left and right. Like, this should not be physically possible.
It's just
what happens when you go to Georgia. You lift in the morning.
No, they lift in the womb. They don't even. They come out and they're benching 225.
12 reps, 15 reps.
I mean, they have a whole locker room like Jalen Hurts. Everyone's squatting 650.
For sure. And so one more. Do you guys have anything else on this game?
Georgia's gonna murder.
The big thing is Ohio State. They need to grow some balls real quick because if they don't, it's going to get ugly quick. And Ryan Day is going to be uncomfortable.